Good? Good morning, everybody. Monday, the 9th of Shevat, corresponding to the 14th day of January 2019. Today, Monday, Perashah Beshalach. Tomorrow, Tuesday, Perashah Beshalach. We're going to be saying, God willing, the special reading of the man, the special reading for Parnassah, that is customary, according to some opinions, to be recited on the Tuesday of Perashah Beshalach. We know that Tuesday is Pa'amayim Kitov, is definitely one of the best days of the week, and being this week's Perashah, the Perashah of the man, so it's appropriate to read it. So B'ezrat Hashem, we'll do it tomorrow here together, and for those listening, it will be sent via the chat. Now, for those watching, Shavua Tov, we don't have a way to post so much literal information in the chat. So feel free to send me an email to Rabbi EJSFL, and I can forward you the link for the special prayer. I repeat the email address. Maybe you can write it down here so they can look at it while I do the talking. Thank you so much. Our technical department will write it now, and you can look at it through the live video screen. Amen. Okay? You have my email address, right? Rabbi, RABBI, at E as Edward, J as Joseph, S as Sam, F, thank you, E, J, S, F, L, .com. For those watching, that's the Rabbi's email address. Rabbi at EJS, Edmond J. Safra, Florida.com. Send me an email quickly today so I can forward you tomorrow morning, or even today later on, the email for tomorrow's special day of prayer. And as a bonus package, we're going to give you a listing also of 20 items in the person's life that can have an effect in the Parnassah of the person. So Beli Neder, tomorrow we're going to go through this listing, but those far away, I'd rather have them the information today so they can follow the class B'ezrat Hashem tomorrow. So let's do quickly the Zohar of today. Amen. Discussing a very beautiful mitzvah, the mitzvah of giving charity. Baruch Hashem, this is a mitzvah that everybody does. Some more, some less, more frequent, less frequent. But I'm not talking about giving a couple of coins in the Vayvarech David or $1 before Tefillah, etc. We're talking about giving the charity directly in the hand of a needy person. The Zohar of today begins, Ashrei Maskil Eldal. Great is the merit of the person who pays attention to the needy. Beyom Ra'ah, and in the moment of hardship, the giver, the donor, Yemaletehu Hashem, God will give extra protection to the person. The Zohar Kadosh explains an interesting pasuk. The pasuk writes in the book of Tehillim, chapter 69, Ki shomeya ele v'yonim Hashem. God pays attention to the destitute, to the needy. And as the Zohar Kadosh, are you telling me that only God listens to a needy, and a person that is not needy, God doesn't listen to? Haz v'shalom. The Zohar Kadosh writes that a person that has needs, a person that is going through hardship in life, is not the same praying with a heavy weight in your heart like praying like a regular weekday in the life of the person. Not only that, the Zohar Kadosh actually brings a pasuk, chapter 51 of Tehillim, Lev nishvar benitke, Elokim lo tibze. A broken heart, God will never refuse. Comes Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, and it says that, everyone prays. Pray for health, prays for happiness, prays for success in life. But what does the needy praise for? For survival. The Zohar of today, and I gave this class for the early minyan today, tells us two stories, and I will throw in a third story, short stories. The third one is a bit long, with a lot of messages. But let's go quickly to the two stories of the Zohar of today. The Zohar tells us that there was a great rabbi by the name of Rabbi Isa. Rabbi Isa is mentioned in the Zohar several times. It seems that he was one of the 10 students of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. And it says that one day he was walking on the street and he heard a heavenly voice that says, "Woe to the citizens of this town that overlook the need of a poor person." The Zohar gives us the understanding that in the neighborhood of Rabbi Isa, there was a very poor person that was very sick, and no one from the community pay attention to him. Now, before we go further, what will be, thank you so much, what will be people's reaction if you tell them, you know what, I heard voices, I'm hearing voices. What does that usually mean? A person that is able to listen to voices, Hazal Baruch, maybe this person has some type of condition. But when you're talking about Rabbi Isa, what voice did he hear? He heard the voice that says, how could it be that the citizens of this city neglected the needs of a needy person? Haz v'shalom. Amen. So the Zohar tells us that as soon as Rabbi Isa heard this message, he ran to the house of the needy, gave him food to eat, gave him water to drink, gave him dates that has a lot of hydration of the body, make him a chicken soup, and he resurrected. Comes the Zohar Kadosh and it says, after this person became healthier, he came to Rabbi Isa and it says, I want you to know that my neshama was already gone from the world, separated from my body. But Shamayim says, in the zechut of Rabbi Isa, we're going to send the neshama back. In other words, Tehiyat Hametim. You know, the Mishnah writes in Pirkei Avot, Al kol hacha ata hay, al kol hacha ata met. A person is born against their will. No one chooses when to be born. Usually when the moment comes, the baby comes out. That's why many times in the field of medicine, doctors want to induce a mother to give birth. You need to know that unless we are talking about that there is, God forbid, a serious delay or a medical condition precipitating a child's birth, especially based on the doctor's vacation schedule, that is a halachic problem. Not only that, there is a mazal aspect, that's what it says in the laws of family purity and giving birth, that there is a mazal aspect that the hour that a person is being born and the day of the week that a person is being born, that also has a direct influence on the life of the person. The Zohar Kadosh tells us elsewhere that when a person is about to be born and the neshama is selected, you're going to be the neshama of this child, the Zohar tells us that the neshama says, I don't want to go. I don't want to go. Why should I be brought down into a physical world? I'm next to a Kadosh Baruch Hu. Fast forward 100 years later, now they sent a message, neshama, your mission is over. The neshama says, I don't want to go. I'm not ready to go back. There is so much more that I can do in this world. This is a dialogue that takes place between the heavenly decision of sending a neshama down and taking the neshama back of the person. The Zohar of today brings another interesting concept discussing also in Maaseh with a needy person. And it says that a needy person came to Rabbi Ishaq. And he says to Rabbi Ishaq, Rabbi, I need help. He says, what do you need help for? I need to provide food for my family. Okay, how much do you have? He says, I already have a 50-cent coin. I need another 50 cents. So the Zohar tells us that Rabbi Ishaq gave these 50 cents to this ani. Later on, Rabbi Ishaq, the Zohar says, experienced a mega miracle. In what merit was this miracle performed to him? In the zechut of saving the life of this needy. Another version of the Zohar says that he had a dream. And the dream was that he was about to drown in the middle of the ocean. And suddenly this ani, that he saved his life in the story of the Zohar, saved the life of Rabbi Ishaq. But to give you more of a colorful story, this story comes from the Gemara in Baba Batra. The Gemara in Baba Batra talks about a great man known as Binyamin HaSaddiq. What was the mission of this man in the world? He was the Gabbai of Tzedakah. He was the fellow that will collect money from the Kahal, and on Fridays he will give the money to the Aniim. So the needy of the city will have food for Shabbat. One Friday afternoon, the Gemara tells us that a widow comes to the house of Rabbi Binyamin and knocks on the door. I'm here to collect for Shabbat. This fellow says to her, I love to help you, but it's only an hour before Shabbat, and all the money that I had to distribute, it's already gone. Next Friday, come to my home from 8 o'clock till 12. Come and pick up the money. She says, I hope to be alive next Friday. She says to him, if I don't have what to eat today, my 7 children and I, she says, will not make it for the next day. When Binyamin HaSaddiq heard of this, what did he do? He went inside, he brought something of value from his own home and gave it to this widow. The Gemara tells the story afterwards, same story, that Binyamin HaSaddiq became sick. And Shamayim was debating, do we take him or we let him live? So one voice in the heaven says, listen, a few weeks ago, he saved the life of a widow with 7 orphans. So let us give him a gift of life. The Gemara concluded, yes, he was granted an extension of his life. How long more did he live after this incident? The Gemara in Baba Batra tells us 22 years. 22 years extra of life. Listen, if you want to be nice,
very good deal.
Very good, excellent deal. If you want to be nice, give him 6 months, give him a year, 3 years. But no, how much did he receive? 22 years of life. Now I need the whiteboard. So the Maharal of Prague explains why 22 years. So he says as follows. The Gemara writes in Masechet Berachot, whoever gives charity to a needy person, how many blessings do they receive? The Gemara says 6 blessings. A person who gives life to a needy person, how many blessings do they receive? The Gemara writes 11 blessings. What did he do, Binyamin? Not only he gave charity, but he resurrected the life of 7 orphans and the mother. That's already 11 blessings. How many people did he save? Binyamin HaSaddiq, the mother plus 7, 8. 11 times 8, how much is it?
88.
Beautiful, 88. According to him, every blessing that a person receives in the life is a 3 months of life. So if you multiply 88 blessings times 3 months, it gives you 260 months, which equals 22 years of life. This is how the calculation comes, and that's the reason why the Gemara tells us that Binyamin as-Saddiq was gifted for the mere zehut, merit of, that means the M, no millions, it's not mega million, it's a months of life. Okay? That's how many years was Binyamin as-Saddiq gifted for the zehut of saving people's life. Now, you can have this back. I think it's very clear. Thank you so much. Let me say a beracha quickly. Baruch Ata Adonai Elohenu Melech HaOlam Shehakol Nihiya B'Baruch.
Amen.
And that's why the Zohar of today began by saying, Ashrei Maskil Eldal. Great is the merit of the person who maskil. What's the meaning of the word maskil? Maskil comes from the word sechel. A person that pays attention to the needy. Beyom ra'ah, in the day that, God forbid, the giver has pre-scheduled to go through an unfortunate moment, that zechut yemaletehu Hashem. Shlomo HaMelech says, Uzdaka tasil mimavet. Great is the power of charity. The Talmud tells us that not only that is able to expedite Mashiach's arrival, but King Solomon says the zechut of the charity can save the person's life. I'm sure the Kahal remembers the story that we learned a long time ago, the story of the daughter of Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva was informed that his daughter, unfortunately, in the day of her marriage, she will not make it overnight. Can you imagine you being a father and you're being told by an astrologer, listen, in the day of her wedding, call the Hevra Kadisha because you're going to need the services. But Rabbi Akiva was, without a doubt, one of the greatest believers in Hashem that existed in the history of Am Israel. Rabbi Akiva, the student of Nahumish Gamzu, that says, Kol ma de'avid rahamana letav avid. Whatever Borei Olam does is for a good reason, correct? So the story goes that Rabbi Akiva dreaded the day of his daughter's wedding, but it came the day of her wedding. And Rabbi Akiva was concerned, what's going to be the next morning? So the story goes that Rabbi Akiva, think for a moment what I'm going to say now. You are the father of the bride. You're probably crying all night, praying to HaKadosh Baruch Hu that the decree should be changed. To make a long story short, 6 o'clock in the morning, Rabbi Akiva went to the house of his daughter. He knocks on the door. Who opens the door? The son-in-law, the new Hatan. He's a fresh Hatan. He just got married less than 12 hours. And he says, Rabbi, everything okay? You know, usually father-in-laws don't knock on the door of the hotel room when his daughter got married the night before, correct? Seniot, let them sleep. Maybe they went to sleep very late. Maybe they got tired from the wedding, so to speak. Is my daughter here? Of course. We got married 10 hours ago. Where do you expect her to be? Can I see her? And he sees her. And Rabbi Akiva became very happy. But Rabbi Akiva wants to find out, how come that she's alive? So he says Rabbi Akiva started to ask the daughter questions. What did you do yesterday? And finally, after back and forth, she says, nothing. I was in my wedding last night, and I saw an ani, I saw a poor man standing by the door, and no one was giving him food. I prepared a plate of food, and I gave it to him. Upon this, Rabbi Akiva says, Uzdaka tasil min mavet, that the zechut of the charity saves the person's life from death. And the story concludes that they went to the room of where she was sleeping, and what do they see on the wall? Remember the story? A snake pinned to the wall with a tiara. At night she came, removed her tiara, her crown, so to speak, and pinned it on the wall, and with that, she executed the snake. You may say, Rabbi, it sounds like a movie. It's not the movie. It's the reality of life of the mitzvah of tzedakah. We're going to switch the topic today. But before we switch it, perhaps I can add one more thing. We know that giving charity is a great mitzvah. But we know as well that there are levels of giving charity. The lowest level is to give charity when we are being asked. And especially not doing it with a smile. You do it because you have to do it. That's not the best. That's actually the lowest. Better to do it with happiness. Better to do it without being asked. Better to do it through a third party. Better to do it through a third party that you don't know who the recipient is, or the recipient doesn't know who the giver is, or the giver doesn't know who the recipient is. And the ultimate and highest level is not so much to give charity, but lift a person. Lifting a person means, in this topic, either you teach him a skill, or you lend them money to start a business, or you introduce the person to someone that is able to help this person stand on their 2 feet. Instead of feeding someone fish, teach the person to fish. Because feeding fish is for one day, but teaching the person to fish is an everyday gift of life. That's a very important concept when it comes. So what happens if a person doesn't have money? Some of us don't carry cash. We carry a credit card. We carry plastic. You get direct deposit. So we don't see green. It says, if you don't have, don't let the ani leave empty-handed. What does it mean? Even say words of hizuk to the ani. I wish I have what to give you. I don't have, but may Hashem help you that you don't have to collect and you have only to give. You know, the Pasuk said it last week in the Gemara class that says, Gezel ha'ani bebatechem. That sometimes the person steals from the needy. And the Mefarshim ask, what do you steal from the needy? If it's a poor person, it means that he has no money. So what are you stealing? You're stealing their dignity. That he said hello to you and you ignored it. So if you don't have money to give, at least give him a blessing or give him a word of encouragement. And Be'ezat Hashem, later on you'll have what to give. Now, the Musar Mehila, the Halakha and the Musar of today are in a way connected, talking about situations of holiness, of Kedusha in the life of the person. The Halakha of today talks about the topic of Ihud. Ihud means the prohibition of a man or a lady that are not husband and wife, father and daughter, grandparents, grandchildren, brother and sister. They cannot be alone for the fear of inappropriate behavior. That is on a general rule. This is known as Ihud. What about a single man and a single lady? So the Halakha of today discusses the Gemara in Avodah Zarah. In the book of Shemuel, we come across a tragic incident between Amnon and Tamar. Amnon and Tamar were children of David HaMelech. Tamar was a beautiful girl, but Amnon, being her brother, knew that he will never be allowed to marry his sister. And we're not talking about sister the way you and I understand. In Jewish law, there are 2 types of sisters and brothers: biological and halachic. Biological, Amnon and Tamar were brother and sisters. But halachically, they were not brother and sister. Why not? Because Amnon was born from a nefesh yefat toar, from a lady that David captured in war, and Tamar was born after the mother converted. It's like 2 goyim. Let's make a simple example. Let's talk about a case of Goim, brother and sister. Let's call the brother Pedro. And let's call the sister Maria. Okay? Okay? I thought you were going to say Jose and Maria. You know what happened after Jose and Maria the other day, right? Yeshu came from that. Okay? So let's take Pedro and Maria. They are Goim. Okay? Goim. Mamash Goim. And both of them became converts. From a legal perspective, they cannot marry each other because it's called incest, right? Brother and sister, which Goim also have the prohibition. But what about Jewish law? Are they considered brother and sister or not? From Jewish law, they are not considered brother and sister. But nevertheless, according to Jewish law, once a person becomes a convert, they become a brand new creation. They have no relationship with the parents. They are not relationship with the brothers. They are considered like a newborn child that is 30 years old with a brand new neshama. But nevertheless, even though that they are halachically not brother and sister, but the halakha doesn't allow them to marry each other. Why? You coming from a goy and you're going to become a Jew to allow to do something that before was forbidden? So Amnon, if you look in the book of Shemuel and look in the Gemara, Avodah Zarah, page 36b, it says there that actually the story is found with great details in the book of Shemuel, that Amnon faked an illness and caused Tamar to be the one that was taking care of him. And the Pasuk tells us that Amnon unfortunately took advantage of Tamar and he violated her. He raped her. You understand? Now, unfortunately, David HaMelech did not have a strong reaction to this crime committed. Who executed Amnon later? Absalom. Absalom, which was another son of David. It took a couple of years until this happened. But based on this tragic incident of Amnon and Tamar, David HaMelech and the Sanhedrin made a takana that a single man and a single girl, even though that they are qualifying to marry each other, they're not allowed to live together until the moment of the chuppah. Why? Short answer. A, morality. You're not married. How can you be intimately with a girl that is not your wife yet? No, I'm sure you're going to marry her. Are you sure?
No way.
Are you sure?
One thing, everything can change.
Look, the voice of experience. In 1 second, one marriage with invitations, with everything else, regretfully to inform the wedding has been postponed. You know how many times I get this?
Many.
I don't want to tell you. More often than people think. The Zohar adds one more component. And I need to say certain words that may not be proper, but I want to do it in the most respectful way, since we have a large female audience listening to these classes. And the Zohar says, and I'm going to say it refined, how can you enter someone's domain when you're not sure that this is your soulmate? The Zohar says in plain English, when you see a lady and you want to spend time with her in an appropriate way, what are you doing? You're taking someone that perhaps is not earmarked to be your soulmate. So how can you denigrate someone physically? this is the language of the Zohar. Why living together is not a Jewish concept. And that's why Shomer Negiah, keeping a physical distance until the moment of marriage, is so important in Jewish law. Because the physical touch, it's very dangerous. And we don't have to go through the news. How many times you hear crazy things going around the world. Okay, all kinds of things at all levels. Touching is dangerous. I'm not talking about your spouse, that you're married according to Jewish law, etc. We're talking about in a way that there is no relationship between husband and wife. They are not married. So it's mukse. You know, what is mukse? Mukse is a Shabbat terminology. Let's say on Shabbat, I cannot touch a cell phone. Unless you're a Hatzalah responder, Shabbat, you cannot touch a cell phone. Shabbat, I cannot touch money. If you're a police officer, if you're a... Good morning. Okay, he happens to be here. I didn't ask him to come. He's like the mal'ach. He drops unexpectedly. All good? I'm glad to hear that. Anyway, so you're a Tzala responder, or you're an EMT, or you're a police officer. In other words, there is a certain level of security and safety. It's a whole different ballgame. But a person that doesn't have none of the above, a cell phone is mukseh. So this is the law that a man needs to treat a woman that is not their wife. Don't touch. Only when she's your wife, then you proceed. I'm sorry if anybody feels a bit offended. I know sometimes people are a bit delicate and sensitive. Okay, halakha is, like the rabbi who hid himself in the bathroom, and his teacher saw him. What are you doing? He says, I want to know how to conduct myself in the bathroom. You think this is crazy? There is another one. The fellow who went under the rabbi's bed, right? You know the story? And he said, what are you doing here? I want to know how to behave in bed properly. Relax. Don't get ideas now.
No.
Don't get ideas. Okay, don't put video cameras in your bedroom. Okay, Haz v'shalom. But halakhahi, that's what the Talmud says. Halakhahi, I want to know how to behave. But let's leave all that on the side. I think we're derailing from the topic of today. So the halakha of today says, even though that a single girl and a single man have a potential to become a couple, but as long that they are not under the huppah, they were not approved to be a couple yet. And therefore, keep the respect. I remember, don't touch. I remember many years ago a very sad incident that happened in a different part of town, that a young boy and a young girl decided against the parents' wishes, both parents' wishes, decided not to get married but to live together. And we already know that it's an avon. There's no permissibility to live. And I know that somebody may say, Rabbi, I'm already living together. What do I do? So I tell you what you should do. Okay? You need to get married. Or, if you're going to get married soon, keep a separation until the day of the wedding comes. And this way you build yourself a basic foundation of holiness and purity. So what was the maaseh in that case? That one day they decided not to longer continue with the relationship. But there is a problem. The girl says, I don't want to finish the relationship. Why not? Because I'm no longer a Betulah. I lost the Betulim. Betulim is the title given to a single girl that was never with a man. So who's going to marry me? What kind of ketubah I'm going to get? Ketubah never married, or ketubah of inappropriate behavior? Unfortunately, the boy left her, and it took a while for her to find a suitable husband that already had his spiritual challenges in the past, so it was, so to speak, not too many questions were asked before. They were a bit more lenient. But we need to be super careful in this topic. So I'm going to tell you a halakha that we don't do it today, but we need to understand how meticulous the Bedins were in the past when someone didn't have a proper way of living. I know that some may say, Rabbi, come on, today everybody does it. Now, everybody does it, God forbid, doesn't mean that it's fine to do. A lot of people use drugs. Are you going to use drugs? A lot of people smoke. Are you going to start smoking? A lot of people have addictions. Are you going to become an addicted? A lot of people drag race and they kill themselves. Are you going to do it? Not because a lot of people do it, it means that is the right thing to do. So the Rambam Maimonides writes, and it says that they used to announce publicly certain individuals that were found to be alone with a person of the opposite gender. And they used to give them a certain type of mardut. Mardut means a lashes, but not from the Torah, a rabbinical decree. Umachrizin alehen, and they will announce that the reason why these people are getting this, it was because they lived in an immoral way of life. So what about if a married woman was found to be alone with a man? So it says here we have a different case. Now we have the issue of the Sota, the famous case of the Perashah, but we also have the issue of Mamzerim. Mamzerim means a child born from a mother that was married to her husband, but she became pregnant through another man. That's called a mamzer. So now we have this fear. Who knows that the children that this lady has are from her husband? Maybe the father of the baby is this man that she was caught to be with. Has v'shalom. God forbid. Today, we don't go to this extreme that the halakha writes. This was written 1,000 years ago, but it's only teaching us how careful our community, our generations were before in this topic of holiness, etc. And there are more details, but I think that the message of the halakha of today is don't fool around. That's simple. Understand that your body is your body, and the ladies to understand that their body is their body, and the only close contact in a male and female body relationship is only between husband and wife. Dayenu. Nesiya tova. Have a safe trip. Dayenu. No more than that. Adventures, one night, a friend, God forbid. I don't want to talk like the Goyim talk. But we need to be careful because that is how we preserve not only our personal holiness, but that's also we give kavod to the ladies as well. And that's why when it comes to the topic of shidduchim, of going out boys and girls, many times they tell you, I am shomer negiah, meaning to say, I don't touch. I go out on a date without touching. No hugging, no kissing, no holding hands. We know that it's not easy, especially for the young generation. The hormonals, the emotional, the physical reaction. But guess what? Exercising self-control during this period of life, it gives the person stronger and holy foundation in the life of the person. That's why the Musar of today talks one more time the concept of shovavim. Because let's be honest here, when a male and a female, all Yehudim are together, and they are not husband and wife, let's talk about from the men's department. How many sins the men committed? Number one, zera levatala, wasting seed. God forbid, batala means to waste. Zera means semen. The zera was wasted. She's not your wife. I know she's my girlfriend, but she's not your wife. It needs to enter the mind. Wife means lady that walks with us under the chuppah. No, but I like her. She likes me. We're trying. Don't try this at home. Don't try this at home, God forbid. And what if she gets pregnant? Now you're going to be forced to marry her. Maybe she's not your mazal. You're in trouble. I'm using protection. That's also forbidden according to Jewish law. So, any way you turn, you're going to get in trouble. And again, marriage, it's called, in English, it's called the holy sanctity of marriage. Kedusha. And that's why the holiness is based on the physical behavior of the person, especially of the men. But also ladies. Ladies also have a prohibition of not fooling around. It's a pasuk in the Torah. Lo tiyeh kadesh bekedesha mi bnei Israel. In Hebrew, I'm going to write this because it's fascinating, unbelievable. You see this word? What does it say in there? Kedesha. Can you read it?
Yeah.
Kedesha. What's the meaning of Kedesha in the Hebrew language? No. Kedesha means a lady who has immoral behavior. Immoral behavior. And how do you say in Hebrew holy? Kedusha.
Yeah.
Look at the difference. What's the difference between Kedesha, promiscuous behavior, or Kedusha, holiness? One dot. Shuf. Kedesha, strike. Kedusha, champion.
Yehuda.
One dot. There is a fine line between holiness and unholiness. One line. Right? Like Shabbat. 1 minute before you are on a Friday, 1 minute later you are on Shabbat. 1 second. 1 second Shabbat, 1 second weekday. 1 second Kedusha, promiscuity, or 1 second Kedusha, holiness. The Musar of today concludes with a very meaningful statement telling us that even though that a person, God forbid, may have been involved in an illicit situation or in a forbidden type of behavior, teshuvah is always available. Once again, I give my email address for those watching. Send me an email quickly so I can send you the email of the special tefillah for tomorrow of the man. Tomorrow, Be'ezat Hashem, we're going to say together the prayer for Parnasah. Take it down, send me an email with your name, and we'll take care of it belly nether throughout the day. So, obviously, the Musar continues, but it finishes with a pasuk. David HaMelech writes in the book of Tehillim, Hashlech al Hashem Yehovcha. In English it means, cast upon Hashem your burden. Behu yechalkeleka. He will provide for you. Most of us, when we read this verse, it means God will take care of our financial needs. Beautiful pirush. But you know what the Musar of today says? The Musar of today says, this pasuk is not only about financial needs, but it means anytime a person has an issue, a person has a problem with the Yetzer Hara. Today in the morning, I had a problem with the Yetzer Hara. I left home very early, as I usually do, very dark at night. And who do I see as soon as I leave the building? The Yetzer Hara coming to say good morning to me. If you understand what I'm trying to say, what it means, right? Somebody who went jogging earlier and came back, and as I'm coming to shul, I'm coming from the right, the Yetzer Hara is coming from the left. For those who understand, understand. And I turned up to a Shamayim and I said, what do you want from me? I woke up early, got ready, got dressed, nice tie for the day, Monday. I came to serve you, and the first gift you send me is the Yetzer Hara looking at me. I look away. Kam Shlomo HaMelech, and it says, Zechor et borecha bime bechurotecha. Remember your Creator during the years of youth. What does it mean? Don't wait till the end of the life to get connected to Hashem. The younger, the better. And that's the reason why the Musar of today says, a person needs to know how to do gedarim veseyagim. We need to build fences of spiritual protection. And that gives the person the charging that is required to have to overcome temptations in life. And that's the message of the day of Perashah B'Shalach, the fourth week of the time of the Shovavim. So Be'ezat Hashem will continue with tomorrow's class. So Be'ezat Hashem tomorrow will divide the class in the topic of Parnasah. We're going to recite together the Perashah of the man, and then we'll discuss 20 tips for Parnasah. They are not financial tips, because I'm not a financial advisor, although many believe that I am. But we're going to discuss spiritual situations in life that could have a direct influence on our financial well-being. My dear friends, have a great day, everybody. Baruch Adonai Le'olam. Amen ve'amen. Rabbi Hananiah ben Akashia Omer, Ratzah Kadosh Baruch Hu.